Welcome to Second and None. Wow, this right here was one heck of a weekend. This was good, guys. Uh, Look, everyone has been talking about rivalry week, and I think that's one of the best times in college football. Uh, you get to go against your rivalry, you get to beat them down, hopefully. But there was a lot on the line today, specifically with the LSU A&M game. Alabama took care of business. Tennessee just they pretty much stewed Vandy in the river with the goalpost when they beat Alabama. They threw them in that. Kentucky, they was able to get a win today. Woo-hoo, go Cats. Georgia, they took care of business as usual. But overall, man, it was a great weekend for college football. Some upsets, or I have to figure out if it's an upset or not. Michigan beat Ohio State today. So, we always wondered if that would be an upset or not because we always said, oh, Michigan State didn't play a hard schedule. But hey, let's just get right into this and let's just unfold this weekend of rivalry week. What's going on, gentlemen?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Go Cats.
What's up?
What's up? So, hey, man, this right here was the rivalry week, man. This right here was, we can go through each and every game. But, one particular game that was really on the line, not just for the SEC, but just for college football. And that was an LSU and A&M game. I'm sorry, LSU and A&M game, my fault. I'm pretty sure you guys can talk more intelligent about this, but that game, I'm not even an LSU or an A&M fan, but that game kind of scared me a little bit. For the simple fact is, that was a trap game for LSU. A&M had nothing to lose. They was playing with house money, and those guys, they just came in at home. The 12th man showed up today. That was definitely a different stadium than it was last week. Last week was pitiful at A&M, but they showed up, and the 12th man really made a difference today. What do you guys think about that LSU game today? I'll start with you, Dustin.
That's exactly why they hired Jimbo Fisher to come to FSU, was to win games like that. Where's that been at all season long, y'all? I have no idea. I have no earthly idea. Overall, really good game for A&M. They just obliterated the West champion. I love to see it. LSU sucked.
Chris?
Well,
okay, go ahead, Wes.
I don't know if I would say LSU sucks.
Hey, 40-13, bro. We can say that they suck, all right?
So 63. What I
you guys didn't score 63. Don't get me started on that. Yeah, we beat Alabama as well. So
you did.
Right.
You did. You got us this year.
So does that mean that South Carolina is technically better than Alabama then?
I guess it does.
This year. But we gonna stay focused on this LSU game.
But so I like I said, I don't know that outside of Alabama and Georgia that any of you guys on this call wouldn't trade rosters with A&M this year. The actual players that they have are better than the players that are on the rest of your teams. Now the coaching staff might not be better, but the players are absolutely better quality players. And I don't know, like I said, outside of Alabama and Georgia, I don't know that any of y'all would be trading with them. That's the reason it's not really a trap game, because that team is good enough to line up and play with anybody in America, including the elite teams, because they've recruited elite level for the past 3 years, right? So that's the difference. Now, Jimbo Fisher being a quarterback whisperer, supposedly, I want his agent to be my agent when I go negotiate my next contract at work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he could get fired right now and make $90 million.
Not bad. Chris?
Oh, I think LSU had a lot of distractions.
Okay,
I think
yeah,
for 3 or 4 weeks, there's been a lot of talk about LSU in playoffs.
okay.
It's definitely a distraction. You got that kind of pressure riding on you, and a team coming in there playing loose and with nothing to lose, you're going to end up with something like that. As I said earlier today, LSU became the hunted when they won
Yeah.
the West.
Yep.
Sure did.
Could they handle the pressure the way Tennessee had the same pressure when they played Georgia? When they became the hunted, it became a different story. So that's kind of my take. Didn't think LSU was good enough to get in the playoffs to begin with, and we found out tonight they're actually not.
Okay.
Yeah. Can we also bring up the fact that as a group of SEC guys, can we just bring up the fact that Brian Kelly is still coaching this team?
Yeah.
And every game that's ever mattered
Yeah.
that Brian Kelly has coached, he has gotten kicked to the curb every time. His last game at Cincinnati, Tebow kicked his ass. Every time he played Alabama, they kicked the crap out of him. Every time they played Clemson, they kicked the crap out of him. Every time he's played any game that mattered, that actually mattered for something,
It
Brian
didn't go
Kelly
good.
has choked.
Yeah.
Are you trying to say Brian Kelly has a tendency to pee down his leg?
I may have used a different reference to my buddy today, and I said it was like what my 1-year-old daughter does in her diaper.
Okay. So I have a different question for you then, Jason. With that
Yeah.
being said, we saw how A&M played with house money, had nothing to lose. How is that going to affect LSU playing for their life? Because that's the only chance they have to go into the playoffs, if there is one, is to beat you guys.
There's no way.
They're not going to the playoffs.
No,
Okay.
there's no way.
No.
Yeah.
Well-
So here's my answer to that.
Okay.
Yeah, LSU's out. I mean,
Yeah.
first of all, there was a long shot with them getting in the first place with it being a 2-loss team. There was a slight chance, but
Yeah.
now that they're a 3-loss team, it's out completely. We'll see USC in the top 4 that'll jump them. But I tell you what, I think that this game tonight actually set Georgia up to have a dangerous game in the
Yeah.
SEC championship.
Yep.
And here's why: because now we've got the same thing. LSU's coming in, man, they got nothing to play for. The only thing
Yes.
that to play for is they're going to be mad and pissed off, and they're going to bring us the best game that they've ever played all year. Now, Kirby's beat, just like Wes was saying, Kirby's also beaten Kelly twice now. 2 times that we faced him, we won, but that's at Notre Dame. This is a new season for him. So he comes along, their hopes are over with. Now, 2 things could happen, Michael. They're either going to come in with their hair on fire and they're going to give us the best shot we ever had, or they're going to be defeated before they ever set foot on the field, and now nothing matters, and they might come in demoralized. And I'm curious to see which team shows up on Saturday.
So
I actually have a different take on that.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
mentioned it earlier today. The worst thing for LSU to have happened all day was for Georgia Tech to challenge Georgia, because that's a wake-up call to say, hey, we have to play at our top of our game at all times, or we can get beat.
Something better.
And that focus on Georgia is not going to be a good thing for LSU to encounter.
That's not better.
Does Daniels plan for LSU? Because I'm not sure how hurt he is, but does Daniels plan against you guys make a difference in that ball game, or no?
Yeah, I think it does. Well, okay, no, it doesn't. I don't believe there's any team right now that really can make a difference. Georgia has shown that when it comes to a championship level game or a game that matters, okay, Oregon, Tennessee, name a few. There was very few games that really mattered this year, to be honest with you, except for a handful. Those games that really mattered, we just dominated. I mean, we got up and we came in to handle business. Unfortunately, we've had the Missouri, the Georgia Tech, the Kent State. We've had those games. We always win them, but we don't wake up till the 3rd or 4th quarter, on those little cupcake games. And I wish we wouldn't do that. But no, I don't think James makes a difference.
Isn't that kind of like it doesn't that kind of like the separation? Like, that's the one thing I have noticed about Kirby is, yeah, he takes care of business in the big games, which shouldn't be really hard for you to get up for Florida or Oregon or Tennessee when they're ranked number 1, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is, like, go back and look at what like Alabama did, right? We won 100 games in a row against unranked teams, and it kind of wasn't fair. The one game we lost to an unranked team was A&M last year, and they started the season. They just lost several games, and we played them at home, right?
Okay.
What are you really that next level dominant until you just start dominating every team like you're supposed to, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think, Wes, I
time.
think the answer to that is this. I don't think it's Kirby. I mean, Kirby clearly states that he's not looking past the team we're playing right now and that anything could happen. I think it's the players. The players, you know, we got to remember, we have a lot of young players in this team still. They're coming along. We've sent 15 off to the NFL. Now we're replacing all of them now. I watched the same thing happen with Alabama, last year, actually. I mean, they did the same thing. They got into games that they should have blown out, and they went to overtime with Auburn. I mean, it's like you see this happen. Now, I don't know that that's a Kirby Smart problem. I think it's more of a Georgia players issue. That
you just compared struggling with Kent State to playing Auburn at Jordan Hare.
Well, there was a few games last year, that Auburn. I felt like Alabama struggled more than they should. I mean, Florida is a good example, actually. And now, granted, I know that I think they played in the Swamp too, in that game, so they were on the road. I get that. The loss to A&M, Florida. Hey, let's just be real. Alabama last year didn't look like Alabama. Alabama this year didn't look like Alabama either, to be honest with you. I mean, and that's just you have Bryce injured. I get that, but I'm saying Georgia this year, they've definitely handled business. But yeah, I'll be the first to say I don't like seeing the way they played against Georgia Tech today. I didn't like to say the way they played Kentucky last week. But a win's a win, and I'm going to have to stand by that. The ones that matter, they really get up for and they dominate. So, to your point, I do believe that we've got another level to go.
Good. Okay. Is anyone surprised that South Carolina was able to beat Clemson?
No, not at all.
No.
I called that. I said, and if you look back, if South Carolina doesn't piss down their leg and lose to Missouri, South Carolina right now should be sitting at 9-3. They're actually a solid football team. They play really good defense.
Okay.
They probably have the best overall special teams in the SEC.
Yeah, they got a good special teams.
And
Yeah,
they have a good running game. And their quarterback, it just took him some time and to get acclimated to the system. Beamer's a good coach. Now, can he fight?
He's
with
also a
Georgia?
damn clown too.
Do what?
He's also a damn clown too. Can't stand that guy.
So I just wanted to disagree with one point that Wes made about South Carolina having really good defense. I can name at least 3, maybe even 4 games where they've given up 30+ points this year. That's not the mark of a good defense.
You mean for South Carolina?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I mean, Vanderbilt put up 500 yards on that South Carolina defense and 28 points.
Did y'all win?
South Carolina won the game, but
Bro, man,
they
putting up
still
points,
couldn't stop
yards.
our offense.
No, man, stop that. That I listen to Alabama fans do that shit right now, putting up a bunch of yards, like the way teams play offense now. Hey, you know what? Teams are going to put up yards against Alabama. You know why? Because we score quickly and we move the ball a lot. Tennessee's defense is not as bad as they get crapped on for. You know why? Because Tennessee's defense is scoring like that. They're giving the other team, instead of 68 plays, like when we used to play bully ball, right? Now teams are getting 90 plays. I don't care how good you are if you're having to guard a team for 90 plays.
Yeah.
Arkansas just won the game, and they gave up 700 yards to Ole Miss.
Wow. That's a lot. That's a lot. Yeah, that because these offenses now are made to move. And if the offenses are not subbing, then defenses are not subbing. So they're just going up and down the field the whole ball game. So, I mean, so you got a chance to definitely rack up some numbers. I think that was pretty impressive how they was able to hold on to actually beat those guys. I thought they was going to give it away, but I like how they was able to muster up, and they're definitely going to be a team to mess with. I know, Chris, you're not a big fan of Rattler, but these past couple of games, this guy has been playing. He's been playing some ball. So, you know, you gotta give him a little respect.
He's
What
played
about
well the last 2 weeks for sure.
Yeah.
What about Kentucky with a big win over an
Yeah,
in-state rival?
we
I
got-
was talking to my buddy today. That's kind of a rivalry game that gets overlooked, man. If you guys don't,
Yeah.
I don't know
That's
if
a
y'all
big-
watch that every year for the Governor's Cup.
That's a
Those
big
teams
thing.
do not like each other.
No, we hate each other, man.
They hate each
Yeah.
other, and it is fun to watch because y'all, the first possession, y'all were fighting after the first damn possession.
Yeah, that's normal, you know. But they're a little brother to us, like Georgia Tech is little brother to Georgia, Auburn's little brother to you guys. Vandy's little brother to Tennessee. It is what it is. So, and for at least one more year, LSU was little brother to A&M. So it's just what it is.
Okay, and Mike, how
Yeah.
cool were those lids y'all wear today?
Those was hot, man.
Those
Those
were
lids-
fire, man.
Yeah, those was hot. I like those.
If I ever saw a team that likes to copy Tennessee, it's Kentucky. It is Kentucky. If I ever saw it.
There you go. You get muted. No one wants
Yeah,
to
there
hear
you
that.
go. There you go.
No one wants to hear that. Say that, okay? Let me give you. You can write somebody a letter for that. I don't want to hear that.
It's true.
So it looks like Lane Kiffin is not going to go to Auburn. It looks like they're going to look like at this point. You know, I've been watching the chatter that you guys have been talking about all week, and at this point, I just got to sit back and just wait to see who ends up at Auburn, because everybody's going up and down. Everyone was almost certain that Lane Kiffin was going to go to what's the name. Then I guess I heard O'Brien from Alabama that he might go. And,
That's fake.
Yeah.
That thing that Bobby posted
Oh.
is like 7 weeks old,
okay,
and that's fake.
yeah.
Bill O'Brien
It's probably
actually is
going to be Hugh
rumored to
Freeze.
be leading for the Georgia Tech job, though.
Oh, okay. What'd you say,
And
Jason?
Georgia Tech would be stupid not to hire that guy that's their interim coach right now. That guy has been. I mean, I watched that Georgia Tech team. They came to play today, and they beat 2 ranked teams since he took over. I mean, they would be silly not to take him on. But as far as Auburn goes, I think Hugh Freeze is a lock for that.
So then let me ask you about this. Does Cadillac deserve a chance?
No,
No, he's not ready for that. Okay.
he's
don't
not
think
ready
so.
for that position. And Auburn, even though they've been down, Auburn is still a big time job. Let's be honest, guys.
Yeah.
That is still a top 12 job in America. Their facility, they just put a bunch of money in their facilities. They've got a good booster base. I mean, hell, the CEO of Apple is one of their graduates. All right. The richest man in the state of Alabama is alumni. All right. The guy that owns Yellowwood is one of their alumnus. All right. So they have got a good recruiting base that they can go after. Now, they are sandwiched in the middle of the 2 behemoths here, right? But it is a big time job. And unless you know how to run a program, now I'm not saying 10 years from now, Cadillac can't come back and get that job, right?
Okay.
But I'm saying Cadillac, that he can't, it wouldn't be fair to Cadillac, because when he got his ass stomped for the next 4 years
Yeah,
by Georgia and Alabama, and they fire him, they're never going to give him a chance again.
that's true.
All right. I
And-
think
and
too,
to-
the issue
and to
there is
that point-
leadership. You're going to have an issue. Cadillac doesn't have the leadership skills yet, but you can't help but love the guy. He's so charismatic.
Whoa.
and
The leadership skills he's got. He led those kids. He led those kids for
No.
3 weeks.
Okay, you're misunderstanding me. Yes, he did. I'm talking about there's a different level of the CEO level leadership though for a head coach that's got to be able to have the respect of all his coordinators, all his coaches, all his. I don't think he quite has that developed.
You're
yet.
talking about his management skills versus leadership.
Yeah, well, I call that leadership.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Yeah, you're right though. The kids themselves, that's what his greatest skill is. I mean, has those kids fired up like nobody can. I mean,
Okay.
Now, what I'll say on that issue is, I think you have to make certain that he stays on staff. Maybe keep him as a running backs coach
Yes.
or as an offensive
Or as a
coordinator, and give him an opportunity to grow and learn how to do these things.
Okay.
Now, and I'll say the two things that I'd like to bring up about the Auburn situation. One, I could have told you 100% Lane Kiffin was not going there. People close to Lane know that he wants the Alabama job.
I was thinking that too.
We would never accept him had he taken the Auburn job. He would never be welcome back. And two, this is something that makes me irate and should be, like everybody else in here should be mad, I think, too. The reporter that reported he was going to Auburn and that he had sources will not release the sources that he said he had. He made the shit up, and he should be, and that's a distraction that hurt those kids. It's not fair to those kids at Ole Miss, and he should have to be paid. He should pay for that.
Yeah,
I agree.
that's a big time mistake.
And on that, I admit I kind of bought into that reporter a little bit when he reported it. I was wrong for doing that, but it was funny to see Lane Kiffin ate his lunch last night, took his milk money, took his snack money, and then went and knocked on his mama's door today, and this reporter's still trying to die on that hill by saying, oh, I've got sources saying that there was an offer made and that Lane Kiffin decided to turn. Why does he have to insist on dying on that hill after Lane Kiffin has embarrassed him thoroughly nationally?
On Twitter. Well, you got Dustin?
No, I was going to say, if I don't think that he wants that Alabama job as much as he wants to come back to Tennessee. He's even said several times that he would love to come back to Tennessee. So that could be the job that he's waiting on if Heupel decides to leave. Don't give me that. Don't give me that look. He did. He said if he knew then what he knows now, that he would have stayed at Tennessee.
And Nick still says that he regrets leaving LSU. And now, he's never said that he regrets leaving LSU for Alabama. He just said that he regretted leaving LSU.
Well,
so if you guys want to hear
that LSU would probably already have 5 more national titles if he would have stayed.
Probably.
So there you go.
Chris, you said you had something to vent about. What are you going to vent about?
Don't even give him any time to vent. He doesn't deserve the time to vent. I've been on his butt all year. The only people to get to talk to Chris and talk trash are me and Dustin, because we've been whooping his ass all year.
So all year I've been upset with our offensive play calling.
You was upset today for real.
It really showed out at Missouri when they called an RPO and a shotgun, handing it off to the running back on 4th and 1 with the game on the line. Tonight, against that secondary that has only given up 2 yards less on the season than Vanderbilt has, and you have 28 yards passing at halftime because you won't throw the stinking ball. Fire that guy on the field tonight. Don't let him go back in his office and retrieve anything. Fire him tonight.
Vanderbilt.
It's inexcusable.
Wow. I mean, you guys was playing Tennessee. I mean,
Mike, I think you should give Dustin 30 seconds to say whatever he wants to say about Chris.
There you go. As a matter of fact, let's do that. Let's do that face-off. Ready, Dustin? Why did you guys beat Vandy so easily? Ready, go.
Because it's Vanderbilt, man. I mean, I don't know what much more you want. I mean, there was 369 yards on the ground, Chris, and I'm not trying to rub salt in the wound here, but I mean, it is what it is. Vanderbilt is still Tennessee's little brother, and they always will be. I'm sorry. End of discussion. Joe Milton, Bazooka Joe. He still overthrew his receivers by 30 yards, and we just dominated Vandy's line of scrimmage like it was nothing. We looked like we were playing a bunch of middle schoolers out there.
Time's up. As
By the
you
way,
know,
I did see that throw that Bazooka Joe made today. He threw that thing like 65 yards in the air. Did you see that?
It was amazing. What are
That
you
one
talking about?
touchdown, dude. He has the strongest arm. Like he would kill a human being if they weren't paying attention and hit him in the head.
So I saw a tweet that says hashtag pray for the Marriott.
what a Marriott for?
Because they have a Marriott behind the stadium that you can see into the stadium.
Oh, okay.
It said hashtag pray for the Marriott, and I about
Chris is like, I hate both of you so bad.
Well, Chris, the silver lining. What the silver lining is, you guys snapped your SEC losing streak. You guys
in all seriousness, though,
you guys can build on that. Yes, you guys got some things going.
In all seriousness, though, all right. Vanderbilt overall, they had a very good season for their standards. Okay, like you just said, they just got they snapped their SEC loss streak. Obviously, I know that they're not going bowling this year, but Clark Lee is doing some good things at Vandy.
They are going. They win national championships in.
To what?
I mean, it's going to be interesting to find out. We'll have to do the research tomorrow to find out how many actual bowl teams there are that are eligible with 6 wins. There's still an opportunity to go to a bowl game with an APR bowl with 5 wins. I would gladly accept that. Some people may laugh at that. I'm sure Wes would absolutely laugh at it. But if it's there, you take it because you've got to get this young football team experience and the extra practice.
I was going to say a couple extra weeks of practice. That'd be one more game under their belt. Why not? And I feel like maybe if AJ Swan would have been in start of the half, the game could have possibly been a little different, in my opinion.
Actually, Chris, the one thing I will not laugh at you for is accepting a bowl bid, because even if it was at 5-7, because accepting a bowl bid gives you 13 extra practices.
Yep.
And those kids that are the kids that are early enrollees get to practice with the team. They get to get into the conditioning program already. They get to meet their coaches in the coaching facilities. And not just the new kids, but those kids that are going to be there next year. The freshmen that are going to be sophomores, the sophomores that are going to be juniors that are seniors, they'll get 13 extra practices. That's why going to a bowl game is so important. And you can see the growth for all of those kids that didn't get to play.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you do.
Yep, and I agree with that. There's only one other thing I have to say about this season. There's rumors of people not Alabama people, but people associated with Alabama talking to some of our players to see if they'd be interested in transferring, namely Will Shepherd and CJ Taylor, wide receiver and a linebacker. And if I'm either one of those players, I look at those people from Alabama and I say, kiss it, because you didn't want me when I was coming out of high school. You ain't getting me now. And that's no offense to Alabama. It is what it is in college football today.
Yes and no. That would be like telling, a team in the NFL that drafted you in the 6th round, right? They didn't want me in the top 5 rounds. So when I'm up for my next contract, I don't want to re-sign. No, I mean, what your opportunity to be seen and coached, by the way, and have better facilities and go against better players in practice to be better. If you're thinking about going to the league, right? That actually is why kids transfer to Alabama, the kids transfer to Georgia. Like, That's the thing. You get the opportunity to be seen, right? And your
And you
coaching
get to play good on good.
Do what?
And you get to play good on good. You're practicing every day against the top defense.
Exactly.
And the top
You're
offense.
playing good on good every day. I mean, think about it, man. Until this past year, Jameson Williams was going against top level DB. Like, okay, guys in the NFL right now, you've got Amari Cooper, who went every day against Marlon Humphrey. Right? They're both all pro players.
Getting challenged every day.
Yeah. No, you're challenged more in practice than you are in the games.
And that's the same way that it is in basketball too. That's why these schools like Kansas, Duke, Kentucky, all these schools are getting these big time players in a group, because when they go to practice every day, and some of them will actually tell you that practices is even harder than the game itself. You see what I'm saying?
So, which, by the way, Dustin.
Yes.
You better tell your buddy Michael down there that Tennessee and Alabama are coming for Big Blue Nation this year.
Hey, let me tell you about Deacon Rick Barnes. He's somebody that'll beat the hell out of you, but still hopes that you go to heaven. That's what's so good about Brother Rick Barnes.
Well, hey, Mike, did you see Alabama? What we did to Michigan State?
No, I didn't see that game, but I watched the Tennessee game though. I didn't.
We beat Michigan State by 11.
That's okay. We're coming, man. We're figuring out some logistics in basketball right now for Kentucky. But
the logistic is everybody else now with the NIL. We also can have a bag man that Calipari used to be the only bag man. Now we got bag men too.
I got you. Well, Tennessee definitely has bags.
I know Tennessee and Jimmy Pruitt run around with Crystal's bags, Wendy's bags, McDonald's bags.
Isn't it ironic though? Right, it wound up being a Chick-fil-A bag, but the Lord's chicken.
The Lord's chicken.
But here he was doing illegal things with the Lord's chicken's bag.
Yeah, that's crazy. So
it's called an offering.
Real quick, Michael, if I can say one.
He said it's called an offering.
Michael, if I can say one thing real quick.
Yeah.
So if we look last week, right, at that South Carolina game, right? Yeah. It looks like that Tennessee defense just quit. I mean, completely. There are issues in the locker room there was something that went on last week, and I don't know what it was, but this was a totally different defense this weekend. And I really, it's like they flipped a switch, and I don't know if it's Jeremy Banks. I don't know if he's really that, that leader on the defense. But we had Trayvon Flowers out tonight, which is also a senior leader on that team. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what happened, but it was a totally different ball team this weekend for sure.
So I wanted to ask this to Dustin, not about your defense. I wanted to ask this to Dustin last week after Hooker got hurt, right? Would you have preferred, and this goes for all you guys, I'm just throwing this out there. So let's just say Stetson Bennett were to go down and he's out for the season, right? Or Bryce got hurt last week, right? Would you want a senior backup who's not going to be there next year playing? Or would it have been better, Dustin, for your guy today to play your guy that's going to be your starter next year and not play Joe Milton? Because I heard Jordan Rogers and several of the other guys say they should have started, and this was earlier in the week on a podcast I listened to, that they should start. Milton shouldn't have played because he's not the future of your football program.
So Milton is actually coming back next year, and he will be the starter next year. Now you will have Nico coming in as the backup, right? But yes, so Milton is actually a junior this year, so he has one more year of eligibility. So what we saw tonight could possibly be a preview of what we're going to see next season. I don't know. They have got to get his accuracy under control. Dude has an arm that can throw 100 yards if he wants to, but they have got to get his accuracy under control. That's the main issue. But yes, he will be returning next year.
I mean, what about the rest of you guys? Would y'all want? I mean, let's say you're going into 12, and you've got a junior backup or a senior backup that's not going to play next year. Would you want them to play to try to win? Okay, Michael, especially in your position, you're 6-4. would you have wanted another player to play to try to win that, or would you want to get your other guy real reps?
I would want real reps. And actually, we're kind of looking at that right now. We're not. I think it's really up in the air whether Will Levis is actually going to play in the bowl game or not. Because I mean, he's going pro, and I mean, we're going to be playing in irrelevant bowl anyway, so it really ain't going to really matter. So, at this point in time, we'll go get healthy and go make your money. You know what I'm saying? But let's go ahead and play the next guy up, who we feel like will be the face of the franchise, or of the college team moving next year. So absolutely, yeah, I want the guy who's going to be our guy next year.
Same thing for us. When it comes to Georgia, Stetson Bennett went down. We have Carson Beck waiting in the wings, and Carson's shown himself to be the number 2 all year. But right behind him, we have Vandegrift, who is our 5-star, and he's coming along as well. I think he's going to be a dual threat quarterback like we hadn't seen before actually at Georgia. But yeah, I think I would still want Carson Beck being the guy because he's going to be our guy next year anyway. But if we had some senior that was just about to transfer out, I definitely wouldn't want him getting those. That would be wasted reps.
Yeah, it'd be wasted for us. But then you got to ask yourself, though, is if you need a win and you feel like that senior could get you that win, would you play him, though, regardless of him leaving the program or not?
If you need to win, but let's be honest, Mike, your win going from 6-5 to 7-5, or is that 7th win really mean that much? Now Georgia is in a different situation,
right?
Georgia's still fighting for something that matters, right?
I don't think, as Kentucky wise, I don't think we would have looked down on Will if he didn't play today. I thought, and actually I've been looking all week to see if he was going to play or not. It was kind of on hush hush, but of course he played. So I wouldn't have been surprised if he said, "Hey man, this game," but like you said earlier, this rivalry is so big and he understands it that he had to play, but he wouldn't have been frowned on if he didn't play. And
I don't know about that one, man, Mike, because he's had such expectations this year.
He had high expectations,
but he didn't live up to them.
Well, I mean, it's really hard when you don't have an O-line who, I mean, he's been sacked probably more than anybody in the whole country, though. The guy's been on his back about 50 times.
Well, Bryce was sacked more than any quarterback in the SEC last year and won the Heisman.
Hey. Yeah, but
that's Bryce Young.
Yeah, that's Bryce Young. I mean, I watched him.
They talked about Will Levis going number 1 in the draft.
Yeah. Hey,
so
I don't know.
I think he had to play today and play well because they had to show that he didn't just wilt under the pressure.
Yeah, that's true.
And that shows the moxie and that your teammates can count on you.
Yeah.
That's something that I have to say about some of the guys at Vanderbilt, right? Like when they do show up and the guys that show up at Vanderbilt that get drafted, like Zach Cunningham and some of those guys that made it to the league, those guys got the hell beat out of them, man. But Earl Bennett, some of those guys, man, like they were monsters, and then they had solid careers in the NFL, and they showed up, and it showed that they had moxie because they knew week in and week out they were getting their head caved in, man.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Dustin, what you got?
No, so this whole thing of bowls that don't matter, man, they do matter.
Well, they do matter. Well,
they matter to these. I understand, man. If you're not playing for a national title, I get it. But at the same time, they do matter to these kids that are coming up, man. Next season,
they do. Yep, they do.
So if you ask me, so what, man? If you go to the Music City Bowl, it's a solid bowl.
I hope they do because I can go.
I mean, it's in the middle of Nashville. It's a really good bowl to go to. I mean, hey, I was there whenever Tennessee played Nebraska in 2016. It's a really fun place, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you ask me, man, give these kids a vacation, let them have a good time. Yeah. Hey, and it's just an extra game under their belt. So to me, bowl games do matter. It doesn't matter what bowl game it does. What bowl game it is, they do matter.
And that's why
I'm
I
gonna be
hope,
honest with you too, Michael. I'm very old school when it comes to opt-outs. Man, I'm old school. I'm ex-military, just like you.
yeah,
I have no sympathy for an opt-out. I don't. I
Yeah.
get the premise,
yeah,
but man, that's not what life is all about. Life is all about toughness, tenacity, and loyalty. Man, I just think, granted, you don't want
Hey,
to shoot your dreams, but
I,
man, you gotta be loyal to this team,
you are
man.
loyal. You are loyal, man. I used to be the same way, dude. I'm the same. I used to be hard nosed. I used to think, you know, and the thing is, the kids getting paid. I'm not a huge fan of that. But
Me either.
opting out of the games in the bowl, like the Music City Bowl, if I'm a first round draft pick, you are being loyal. You know who you got to look out for? You got to look out
Yourself.
for you and your family.
Yeah,
That's your
it's hard for me
job.
to think that way.
It's your job though, man. It's not a game.
yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
job. Just like those other kids that get an accounting degree,
yeah,
right? Nobody is gonna get mad at them for going and get a job. If somebody offers me $1 million and I don't finish my degree, nobody's gonna get pissed off at me.
Right.
They're gonna think I made a good business decision, right?
yeah.
That's the difference, man. You're a fan, and no one has ever put a briefcase in front of you that has $35 million in it.
It
Right.
makes a difference.
It's true. I get both sides. I just have that old school mentality, man. I mean, I'm just one of those. I'm a ride or die kind of guy, So
So my
I'm
next,
with you. I
yeah,
feel the same way, but I also having too many friends, like working for our program and having friends that are in the league. Like my friend's the sideline reporter for Alabama now, dude. He lost his finger in a football game.
Hmm.
He literally lost his finger playing for the Arizona Cardinals. Like it got smashed, and he continued to play.
Wow.
Like I understand the toughness, but guess what, man? Like the thing is, Jason, if somebody offered you, that's not just life-changing money.
Oh, I know. It's generations,
That's
man.
that's multi-generation, especially
Yeah.
if you're going day one. If you're a day one draft pick,
yeah.
top 15,
Oh, yeah.
dude, you're slotted now, man.
It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, I get it.
So-
I do. I do. I just don't like it.
What you got,
So-
Chris?
So for me on that issue of opt-outs, there's a difference between a first or second or third round draft pick and somebody being picked in the 9th, 10th, 11th round, whatever it is, at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, I can
opting
understand
out.
that. Yeah, I
There's
can
a
understand that.
difference.
Yeah.
There is, but here's the deal. That's why you have to respect Kirby and Nick so very much, because both of them, they tell their guys to go if
Yeah.
they get, and Kirby and Nick have got so many guys in the league that respect them and will give them legit feedback to tell their guys to stay or go. And Nick and Kirby, a lot of people used to say Nick and Kirby were just trying to get guys to stay. The thing is, you look at some of these guys that Kirby had, they could have left the year before when they just had 15 guys leave, and they could have left the year before that and got drafted, but they came back and improved their draft pick stock. And now, instead of being a day 2 draft pick or a 3rd or 4th round draft pick, those guys went to 2nd and 1st round draft picks. The guy got drafted number 1 overall, by the way. And the thing is, 6 months before that, he probably was a 4th round draft pick.
Exactly. Nobody knew his name.
So my final question
And I actually had a discussion about CJ Stroud today about the very issue. He's a sophomore, projected to go number 2 quarterback off the board, but what's the value in coming back next year and being the number 1 guy overall off the board?
Well, there's not a lot.
And getting more money.
You don't get that much more money. You get guaranteed money now. If you're a top 5 pick, you leave and you go. Yeah. Also, the difference is, like, this is something too, like, you probably need to have got, like what you were talking about, Chris. that's also the difference between being around a good program, and that's what a program has built themselves, like Kirby and Nick. I can't say enough about Kirby. You know, he's building his program exactly like we did. They've got so much support staff. The thing is, you've got to get good information. A lot of those kids that are going in the ninth, or then there's no ninth round anymore. It's 7, by the way. But those guys going in the 5th, 6th, and 7th rounds, somebody is in their corner giving them bad information, and they're telling them they're going to go higher, and they shouldn't be going.
Yeah.
Like Jake Fromm is a prime example on the Georgia side. He should have stayed. Jake Fromm left too early and ended up shooting his career. I think he would have gone a lot higher if he'd have stayed through that last season.
Yeah. So my last question of the night is this: has the Heisman Trophy candidate or front runner just been all messed up, or is there after today a clear front a clear front runner?
Remember how I ended our call last week as we were watching the highlights of the USC game?
I was going to ask you about that.
I told you as they scored, there's your Heisman winner.
He's going to get it, huh?
He won the Heisman.
He's won it.
I think he did too. I think he did too. I still think Stetson has a potential though of this SEC championship, but I really don't see him being able to. He doesn't have enough stats. I mean, that's just the truth.
Thing. He doesn't have the numbers, man, and it's not. Also, come on, Jason. Here's the deal, man.
I know
the Heisman is supposed to be for the most, and this drives me nuts. Who's got the best story? Who's the best player in the best team? Chris and I have both been saying that Corum has been getting all the run in the Big Ten. He's not even the best back in the Big Ten, man.
No, he might be the 3rd best.
And that's the thing. It's supposed to be the most outstanding. Now, that doesn't mean the best player. Outstanding can have to do with his character, right? And sometimes the Heisman Trust gets it wrong when they give guys like Jameis Winston the Heisman Trophy because he had no character, right?
Okay.
That's, by the way, for my FSU fan that I'm just pooping on. But the thing is, like, Stetson, it's a great story. It's a feel-good story. They can make a Disney movie about him, just like they did the kid at Clemson, if you want a Disney movie.
Yeah.
But he has no business being in New York. Just like last year, Adrian Hutchinson had no business being in New York.
I agree.
Right? The thing is, Hendon Hooker should still get an invite to New York.
I second that opinion.
And that was going to be my question. That was going to be my question. You know, even though Hooker, you know, obviously got hurt last week, should he still get an invite? I think that he does. I absolutely think.
Made football at Tennessee fun again. He made football at Tennessee relevant. Yep. He did what college football players are supposed to do. He worked hard. He transferred. And the difference is between him and Stetson, without Hendon Hooker, Tennessee isn't Tennessee. Without Stetson Bennett, Georgia's still playing for a national championship.
Next man up. Yeah.
You know, even today, if you look at, you know, his touchdown to interception ratio, it was 65-5. I mean, what other quarterback is really doing that? I really don't see many other quarterbacks that have only thrown 5 picks all season long, but have thrown 65 touchdowns.
And
I'm not really seeing that.
In his defense, too, he's not dinking and dunking the ball either. He's throwing deep and not getting picked. Like, and I got to give myself a little bit of a shout out on that one. I'm not even the Tennessee fan in here. Who brought up the Hendon Hooker thing first?
Yeah. And I mean, you're right. I was a little bit critical of Hendon Hooker, but as the season progressed, I mean, he done what he had to do, and I mean, even if he at least still gets a runner up, you know, that's fine. At least he got the recognition that he deserved.
I still think Stetson's going to get the New York invite, though. I still think Stetson gets
Williams and Hendon Hooker. Me and John were talking about this today. I've never seen a weaker Heisman candidacy group ever.
Everybody's got a flaw somewhere.
So CJ Stroud,
the numbers aren't very good.
CJ Stroud lost that Heisman candidacy today.
So
Yeah, I
he
think
wanted,
so, too.
so he wanted to get invited.
Whenever Michigan beat them down today, it
Yeah.
was done for him. It was done.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
I
with
mean,
you.
So me personally, I think the top five probably for me personally, it'd be Caleb Williams, Hendon Hooker, Chase Brown, Mo Ibrahim, and probably Jalen Hyatt. And I know some of them have been hurt and they're not going to win the award. But they've got stories and they've put up some good numbers and have come back from injuries and done some things.
As far as Jalen Hyatt, I think he deserves the best receiver in the country, without a doubt. Kid is an absolute stud, and I mean, he even passed Robert Meacham's score record for total pass receptions. You know, his total yards. So I think that he will definitely get the best receiver.
He
I'm
should
not for sure what that.
Nicole.
I don't, yeah. I was gonna say I wasn't for sure what that award was called, but I mean, in my opinion, Jalen Hyatt is by far the best receiver in the country. And you know what? If I'll be honest with you, if he would have been playing on any other team like Alabama or Georgia, he'd be playing on a national championship team without a doubt. And he would have started at those. He would have started on those teams as well. It's just how good he is.
Yeah, he was a good player, man.
Now, can I ask it? Here's the thing. Here's somebody that's that I think should actually get some run, that just because of kind of how they finished. Quinshon Judkins, the kid's a true freshman at Ole Miss. He's sharing carries with Zach, who, by the way, is fourth in the SEC in rushing. He has almost 1,500 yards. He's averaging 5.9 yards a carry, and he has 16 touchdowns as well. He's a true freshman. Why doesn't he get any run? His numbers are just as good as the guy from Michigan.
Is it going to be based off the record of his team?
Is that what it's supposed to be based off of?
No, it shouldn't be. It should be his individual.
It shouldn't be,
talent.
but they got to make it relevant. You know, that's why I think Stetson's going to get more traction after the SEC championship game, because they're going to want to keep it relevant.
I think part of that is because he's a freshman and they want the award to go to an upperclassman that's put in time and effort.
I don't know
whether
about
that's
that,
right
man.
or not. That's what they do.
Not
But
last
now
year.
Here's another question too. Are there too many Heisman voters?
I think so. When you got reporters out here saying I'm only going to vote for the best quarterback on the best team, you got too many voters and too many biased voters.
Or you got guys that haven't followed college football in years that are on the West Coast that don't even see us play, right? Or you've got all of the former Heisman winners who absolutely would not vote for any of their rivals or anything, even if they're the best player.
Yeah,
or they only vote because they've seen them on a hashtag on Twitter.
Yeah.
Wow.
You guys think we're going to cover anything about the playoffs tonight? Well, I mean, we're going to talk about rankings or anything?
Well, yeah.
I was just going to ask who's everybody's top.
Well, I was going to ask.
And then on top of that, one thing I'd love to cover, bowl projections for all of our teams if we could.
Well,
I think we could wait till next week for the bowl projections.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Because a lot of that has to do with kind of where the conference championships play out, where some of the other things finish up. I mean, we got a big game that's still going on right now. Washington is playing Washington State, and it's 21-17 in the second quarter. If Washington State wins, then that puts Oregon in the Pac-12 championship.
Oh, okay.
Right? And if Washington wins, that puts Utah in the Pac-12
Utah.
championship.
Oh, wow. Okay. So my question is, with LSU losing tonight, pretty bad, how does that shake up the playoffs?
LSU's not getting in.
Well, I mean, I know LSU's not getting in, but you got LSU, they lost, and but how's that like? Is that going to be? Are they going to just put undefeated teams?
I think you've got a solid top four right now with Georgia at 1, Michigan at 2, TCU at 3, USC at 4, and I don't think there's any debate about that.
I agree with that.
I
And
agree totally.
and the thing is also Clemson losing to South Carolina today.
Yeah.
There was talk that they might be able to go on went out the rest of the way and sneak in. That's over with.
That's
they
over
can't.
with.
They're not going to finish ahead of Alabama. LSU is going to bump out of there. Now, the one thing maybe protecting Ohio State a little bit is that Penn State won tonight.
Okay.
Penn State will probably bounce into the top 10, but Notre Dame got punked, which is another one of Ohio State's good wins.
Okay.
Which looks good for USC as well. So I agree with Chris. I think your top four set. I think Ohio State's going to sit there at 5. They're going to move Alabama to 6. Behind that, I'm not quite sure. I'd have to kind of look at it. I think Tennessee might move up to 8.
Yep.
Penn State's probably going to be 10, maybe.
Let me ask you a question, Wes. Unless something dramatic happens, you guys won't make the playoffs, and maybe not Ohio State neither. Depends on what happens. They're still.
So I think Ohio State's still alive, right?
Okay.
Here's this, and we may still have a heartbeat. I know Georgia doesn't want to admit it, but it scares them to death if we get in because there's a little bit of a revenge factor there.
I was hoping.
Me too.
Praying.
Yep, I was too.
I don't think so. That we're gonna if TCU loses, TCU, they've been the cardiac kids. I don't know if everybody really believes in TCU. Michigan, if they get upset, which by the way, if Michigan gets upset, they need to be ashamed of themselves because they're playing Purdue.
But don't count out Purdue now, man. Purdue is the giant slayer, so don't count them out.
Yeah.
Beating Tennessee is not slaying a giant.
I didn't say that.
But if you remember, Purdue did keep Ohio State out a few years ago.
They did and I had that discussion a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
When they went and they lost to a bad Purdue team by 30. So
Purdue is one of those sneaky good teams. Purdue is a sneaky
okay teams.
They're mediocre to okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But sneaky good. They're sneaky. It's like
but they
McDonald's isn't open and there's not a line at Burger King. I'll still eat it.
Georgia, do you see any issues with you guys? If that's the way Chris put it, do you see any issues with you guys beating USC pretty easily? You put USC at 4, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I think USC is the only team that matches up pretty good against Georgia. I think USC is going to be a game. I mean, TCU is the Cincinnati of this year. They're going to be blown out by whoever and eliminated. But I really personally, I
wouldn't be so sure about that either, man. I wouldn't be so sure about that either. I'm telling you.
TCU, I feel like they're, I don't know. I don't feel like they're quite up to the hype, but somebody's got to be in there, so, but yeah, USC, now we beat Lincoln Riley when they had Baker Mayfield at Oklahoma State. It's the same teams, just different name on the jersey now. So I think we can. He puts together a great offense. I'm not sure they've got a defense. I think Georgia wins that game, but it definitely would be a battle, I believe.
So I kind of feel like that USC is the Cincinnati of this year's playoffs, if you're asking me. TCU actually has a very good offense, believe it or not. If you can go into Texas at night with over 100,000 people and still pull out a win, whenever you're looking at their tunnel, it looks like a uterus. One of my buddies pointed that out to me. Whenever you're constantly looking at it, that's quite comical, you guys have to admit. But other than that, though, no, TCU is actually a pretty good ball team, and they do have a good offense. Their defense is a little suspect, but their offense can put up some points. And I feel like that would probably be, I don't know, man. Michigan, though, they have a pretty good run game. But if it's me, I'm seeing Michigan and Georgia in the national title this year. That's just my opinion. But
No.
don't but don't.
Now,
What do you mean
the,
no?
the,
Do
the
not
offense,
count out TCU.
the offense that TCU has absolutely gives them a puncher's chance against Michigan.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and here a quick stat. So USC's defense is ranked 86th in the country, right? Their offense though is elite, right? But here's a weird stat. USC currently their points off turnovers, right? They're plus over 100 in points off turnovers. The next best team in America is plus 30.
Wow. So they
Okay. So they're living off the turnovers. They had 19 interceptions. They had 2 turnovers tonight, right? And their offense is really good. Now TCU's offense is really good too. Defense not so great. Michigan's just not elite on either side of the ball, man.
No, they're not.
So are you saying Ohio State is just not good for the way they handled them today?
Dude, Michigan, they ran for over 200 yards in the second half, and they didn't have their starting running backs.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
So,
hey,
so here's what gives USC a puncher's chance against Georgia: the points off turnovers and Georgia's propensity to turn the ball over.
Exactly. If Stetson Bennett has 2 turnovers against USC, this is an offense that's good enough. They've got last year's Biletnikoff Award winner. They've got probably the current Heisman Trophy winner. They've got a good run game. They've got a good tight end, right? And their offense can go toe-to-toe with Georgia's offense, right? If it comes right down to it this year, I don't know that Stetson could step up after turning it over 2 times and lead that team to a championship. Now, that's the thing. If Georgia dictates the terms, Georgia's not going to get beat. If they're dictating terms, if they're throwing to Washington and they're throwing to Brock, right? Even when he's catching it on the ground when it wasn't a catch, if they're throwing to those guys, and then because you're having to spread those linebackers out, and then guess what? You just give it to Milton up the middle. You give it to McIntosh up the middle, and McIntosh, and they bruise, right? And Stetson, in Stetson's defense, Stetson's just athletic enough that if you do come after him, he's sneaky athletic.
He'll make you pay for it. Yeah.
He will make you pay for it.
We'll also have A.D. Mitchell back by then too, and we'll be able to stretch the field a little more.
But Wes, I feel like you're kind of contradicting yourself, because here we were just talking a few minutes ago, talking about how Georgia plays up to whoever they're playing, right? But then, so why would they not get up for a championship game? Without a doubt, they're the most dominant team in the country this season, without a doubt.
I don't think he was saying
I wouldn't
that
say
he wouldn't.
anything about him not getting up. I'm just saying, like, let's say Stetson, who isn't the biggest in stature, right? Excuse me.
He's a little taller than Bryce.
Happens to get one tipped at the line, and it's picked, and we have a sudden change, and Caleb Williams goes to the end zone, and now Georgia is down 14-0, right?
Are they built to play from behind?
Yeah. Are they built?
Well, we've been playing. Think about it, guys. That's one thing I have to say. Our third and fourth quarters this year. It's one of the first seasons we've done this. We blow away our opponents far more than the first and second quarters in a lot of games, unfortunately. I don't like that stat, but it is true.
But will that come back to hunt you?
Actually, I think that is because of, one, the teams that you've done that to, because you didn't do that to Florida, right? Florida came back on you. The teams you played from behind and you beat in the third and fourth quarter, it's because you're more talented and you eventually squeeze them, all right?
Right.
Because the teams could play up, and eventually playing on emotion doesn't last when you're playing a better team, right?
I look at USC, Wes, as being, they're not as good as Tennessee was. I don't think. I don't think they had the offense Tennessee had. I think it's going to be a lot like that game.
I think they do. That's the thing. I think they do have the and the thing is, this is the difference. Lincoln Riley has a little bit more big game experience, and that's the only thing that Josh Heupel didn't have.
Yeah,
Lincoln can keep his guys calm and try to keep them to being the hunters. Not to say that Tennessee won't be there, Dustin. And it took Alabama. We didn't know how to do it with Florida, right? We had to beat Florida. Georgia didn't know how to do it. Georgia choked in those games until they finally beat us, right? Tennessee, you got one of the monkeys off your back with Alabama, right?
Yeah.
And Florida.
You got to get past. Yeah, you got to get past Georgia, and it takes time, man.
Right now, man, without a doubt, the SEC championship goes through Athens if you want to get in on the east side, without a doubt. Until you can knock Georgia off, you're not going to the SEC title. Sorry, but it's not happening.
So one last thing I wanted to throw out there. I want to get everybody's opinion on a story that kind of broke yesterday about Mike Leach apparently having some health problems. Scheduled to meet with the doctor Monday or Tuesday, and the possibility that he may be forced to resign due to health reasons at Mississippi State. All he's done of the coaches that were hired in 2020, it's Mike Leach, Lane Kiffin, Sam Pittman, and Eli Drinkowitz. All he's done is outperform all three of them. How much of a change at Mississippi State would that make if he's forced to retire?
Are we done with playoff talk? I guess we're done with playoff talk.
Yeah. You got some, hold on. I'm sorry, Chris, you got anything else you want to add to the playoffs? Jason?
No. I just was thinking, I just noticed we shifted gears all of a sudden. I'm good. I just feel like, it's so relevant right now that, that's what's coming. Everybody's looking at.
Yeah, that's what everybody's talking about right now.
Yeah. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear cut. I think it's cut and dry. Like after Ohio State getting smoked at home, by the way, did anybody see Michigan planting their flag in the middle of the shoe?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I didn't see that.
Loved it.
I didn't see it.
Speaking of Ohio State, there's a lot of talk that Ryan Day may be on the hot seat if he loses a third straight to Michigan.
I brought up the same thing. Was going to ask the same question to you guys. He's lost 2 in a row. Now, if he loses a third one, is that grounds to get rid of him?
It's absolutely unacceptable at Ohio State.
Who are you going to replace him with?
Jason?
Who are you going to replace him with?
Dabo Swinney.
Well, no. See, that question. I think that I don't know that that's necessarily irrelevant. That's kind of a bat. I think that's what am I trying to say? I think that's a lazy question, Jason. You're better than that because
here's
Urban Meyer program rolling, right?
Yeah.
Is Ryan Day the reason that program is rolling, or is it because it's Ohio State?
I get what you're saying, but I think to myself, you got to have somebody Ryan's no pushover. He's a good coach. I like what he's done there.
I agree.
So you got to have somebody though that's capable of coming in and being better to enhance what he's done, and that's just not real easy to do. I mean, we can't replace a Nick Saban. We can't. I guarantee you, Georgia would not be able to replace Kirby Smart with somebody that I think would be better. It's real hard if you're going to fire a coach, man. You got to make sure there's somebody available or out there that you can replace him with that's going to be better. I just think that's wisdom,
Which, by the way, I want to throw this out there to the Georgia fans. It came up in my memories on Facebook. And I was lighting into the Georgia fans about this one. So 2 years into Kirby Smart's tenure, an article was written in the AJC talking about how Georgia should have at least called about Tom Herman. I was like, it's a process, guys. Give him time. He's
No
gonna
kidding.
get it right.
That had to be
Chris,
2018, right? We went to the championship game that year.
Yeah. I think it was 2017. It was after
Oh, okay.
because y'all went 8. I think it was y'all went what, like 8-4, and then you lost to South Carolina in 17.
Right.
Lost to Vanderbilt
was-
in 17.
Yeah, they lost to They did. They lost to Vanderbilt.
I remember
and Georgia
that.
tried to run an end around. Who runs
On
an end
fourth
around
down.
on fourth down?
I think that was Kirby's first year.
It was.
Chris, what do you have?
So to
Where
answer
did
the
they
question,
where did they wind up the next season though, buddy? They wound up in the national title though.
Sure did.
to answer the question on who you replace Ryan Day with if they fire him, there's only one answer to that.
Who's that?
Luke Fickle from Cincinnati.
Shut up.
Oh, come on,
Hey, I
man.
like Luke Fickle.
Chris.
I do. Fickle.
You get muted, man, for that. So before we close and before I let Bobby give his last words, I just want to say this to Jason. Jason,
Yes, sir.
from all of the SEC, we're the best in college football. All of the whole SEC is dependent on you at
Yes,
Georgia
sir.
to go to the national championship and bring it back, keep it in the SEC. If
Yes.
not, I'm going to mute you, okay?
Okay.
No pressure. But
Now, Jason, I'm gonna tell you, good luck. Now, here's the deal, man. It's tough carrying the conference, okay?
Yeah.
I
Right?
know Alabama. We're gonna lighten the load on you guys. Nick Saban's a little too old to be carrying it on his back nowadays. So
All right.
So we're dependent on you guys to go and take care of business. Since LSU decided that they didn't want to show up tonight and play ball. So with that being said, Bobby, what's your bottom line?
The bottom line is Bobby needs
Man, hold up. The problem with tonight is LSU wasn't there mentally. LSU was already in the Atlanta mentally. Period. I honestly thought LSU was gonna go into College Station and whip up on A&M. I did. And man, that defeat, man, I get mad. I straight up threw my headphones off when I realized there was no way in you know where LSU was gonna win. Okay. And man, I tell you, I think the biggest surprise of today was South Carolina beating Clemson. That had to be the biggest surprise of college football today. There's no way anyone would have predicted that. And so, but I'm also going to tell y'all this. Next season, watch out for LSU. And Georgia, I see you, Wes. And Jason,
yes.
Your dogs better be on notice because LSU is gonna play mad because we're out of the playoffs now. There's no hope now. Unless some crazy thing happens next week, there's no way we get into the playoffs. And the bad thing is, I'm guilty. I overlooked Texas A&M. I did. Because I thought, man, there's no way Texas A&M beats us. No way. And I'm still in shock. I'm still in shock of how that game turned out.
Guys, if I'd have told you at the beginning of last week that LSU and Tennessee would have both had a chance to make the playoffs, and all they had to do were beat South Carolina, A&M, and Vandy, what would you guys thought? Would we have been talking about Tennessee and LSU going into the final week of the season? Those were cakewalks, right?
Yeah. Those.
Guess that's why we play the games, guys.
Yeah,
Guess
so
that's
we
why
play
we
the
play the
games.
games.
I mean, it's crazy, man. It's
Well,
crazy.
Hey, last stat. I do have a stat that I got to shout out, even
hey,
though we
hold
didn't
on.
have,
Hey, hold on one
the
second.
year.
Hey, Wes, hold on for a second. Go ahead, Bobby. Finish right fast.
I'm heartbroken that LSU lost. Like it still blows my mind. Still blows my mind.
Well,
And as far as the coaching carousel, I think Jimbo may have saved his job tonight. That's my opinion. I think Jimbo's gonna be at A&M next year.
I think 90 million saved his job.
What?
Buyout.
that bad.
So
All right, Bobby. Hey, I appreciate your thoughts, man. Okay.
last stat.
Okay.
Okay, so even though we didn't have the season that we wanted, we're still 10-2. And we've got a chance to win 11 games in the bowl. We set the NCAA record for the most consecutive seasons with 10 wins this year. We passed Florida State. And if we win
Another
our
shot at your friend, right?
Yep, that was a little bit of shot at him too.
It took him 100 years to do it.
But we also, if we win, currently we have the longest consecutive streak of 11 win seasons as well going. And we have a shot to extend that streak with a bowl game. So just giving you a heads up.
Hold.
Oh, go ahead, Bobby. Hey,
no,
Chris. Question for you, Chris. How
finish.
bad of a loss is this to Bobby? Under over on the number of butt dials we get because of how pissed he is this week.
I'm giving the over under on that on 8 butt dials from Bobby
it's
this
8. I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over.
Okay.
So
I forgot what I was. Oh, did y'all see the stats that South Carolina ruined for Clemson this afternoon?
Yeah, they had the
That
longest.
was rough. They stopped their 40-game win streak at home.
Yeah.
What else did they stop?
They stopped they stopped the 8-year-long streak against South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was 9
8 years.
Was it 9?
It was 3
I think
big
it was
stats.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, there was
probably they're out of conference win streak. No, that wouldn't work either because they lost in the playoffs.
No.
Also, here's to give Shane Beamer a shout out. Even though Chris doesn't love him, he's the first coach in South Carolina history to have back-to-back wins against top 10 teams. First coach ever in the history of their program.
There you go.
So, Wes, I appreciate your talk about Alabama and the 10 and 11 game win streaks you guys got going on. But I have to say, despite ending the season the way it ended today, I have to take pride in the way things went for Vanderbilt this year.
Yeah.
5-6, that far exceeds anybody's expectations.
7.
We do have 5-7. Pardon my mistake there. We do have some nice young pieces that have developed over the year that are going to be back and can be built upon. So I think the future looks bright for Clark Lee going forward. We got to recruit depth, speed, and size on defense to make this happen the way it should.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, one more thing.
Okay. Jason,
Yes.
you better watch out. You better watch out next weekend.
You better not cry. You better watch
Jason,
out. I'm telling you,
Jason,
LSU
he said the
is
same thing. He said the same thing to me whenever we whooped them up,
I
40-13.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. All right, so what I'm thankful for, man, this season is Tennessee was finally able to get a 10-win season since 2003. So that speaks volumes of what Josh Heupel he has cooking up in Tennessee. I'm hoping, man, next year, I'm hoping that we'll be in that playoff conversation again. Who knows? We'll see. But this is the first time though Tennessee has finished in regular season in the top 10. Also having a 10-2 season in regular season since 03. So hey, good things are happening in Tennessee as well.
Yeah.
I almost said go Vols. Oh, I almost said that.
I'm telling you, watch out for
and
LSU
at least
next
one
season.
V got the win tonight.
Yeah.
I see you, Wes.
Watch out
Oh,
for
man, it was
LSU.
this one.
Yeah.
Watch out for LSU next season.
Oh my God. Okay, next.
We're gonna be on
Boys.
fire next season.
Well, good.
Boys, look here, man. One last thing, y'all. We have the SEC championship next week. We got the playoffs coming up. We got some bowl games. On top of that, man, we got basketball season going on. So hopefully we can continue this in the basketball season. So Tennessee can win the SEC championship again, and hopefully Kentucky.
Mute, man. I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that, Dustin.
Okay.
Come on, man. I told you.
I was gonna say, and hopefully Kentucky doesn't drop the ball against St. Peter's. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I have to
you're going
throw
to
a
the game next
question.
week, right?
What's that?
You're going to the game?
Jason, you going to the game?
Yeah, I'm gonna be there, guys. 50-yard
okay. Okay.
line, be right on the field. I'm sorry, I got this boast.
I'm going to be at the game too. So I was going to say, one of my best friends actually works for LSU, so I've got free tickets to the game too.
Nice. I did not get free tickets.
So
Next weekend I'll be cruising.
I was offered tickets to the LSU Wofford basketball game tomorrow. I was offered tickets to that game tomorrow.
So
Buy a page on Twitter.
If
So
you
I
guys
want-
want to give me a call next week at halftime, I'll be more than happy to jump on and we can just see how LSU is doing.
Hey,
Okay.
hey man, look, I need you to send me something. I don't care if it's a napkin.
Okay.
You gotta send me something from that game.
All right.
I'm mad I can't go.
Bobby, this isn't the first time LSU's ever been, man. You've
I
won
know.
3 national championships in the
I
last
know.
year.
Yeah.
I
You
know.
do it.
So-
You're acting
So
acting like you're Kentucky or Vanderbilt, man.
I was gonna say. So everybody on this call, other than Kentucky and Vandy, has at least
Nope, not listening to that neither. Nope, not listening to that trash tonight.
So I want
Chris,
to
what's
throw.
your last thing? Your
I
last
want to
thing.
throw a potential bowl matchup at Dustin, and let me get his thoughts on this.
all right, bro.
James Franklin and Penn State against Tennessee. How does that make you feel knowing he's won the last 2 against you?
Hey man, you know what? Honestly, it would be a really good matchup. I'll be honest with you. I, dude, no, seriously, I would be okay with Penn State. I think that would be a really good matchup. I would.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest. I would have rather have seen Ohio State. I'll be completely honest with you
That's gonna
because I
be
was one.
Alabama.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be Bama. That'll be
It's gonna
Bama and
be
Ohio
Bama.
State for what the fourth or fifth time in the past 10 years. But no, I think Penn State would be a great matchup. I don't want to get a low level type of competitor like we did last season. I would much rather get the best of the best if we can, just to really see how we match up. If I'm being honest.
Hey, I'm just gonna say this. When ball games start, I don't know how you guys feel, but when ball games starts, I go for every SEC team. Period.
Yeah, I do too.
Period. I don't care if it's Florida. I don't care.
I don't. Florida I can piss on Florida and not care. I don't care if the University of Florida was on fire.
By the way, them gator bites were really good tonight.
I bet
Sure,
they was.
They was. All right, guys. Well, that was a wow. I look forward to seeing that Alabama Ohio State bowl game in the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, for real. So, hey, thank you guys, man, for staying up late tonight and joining another week of Second to None. I think it was a lot of fun. Glad we was able to get some good laughs in, respect each other, some humor, and all that. But at the end of the day, man, you guys know how to have fun, and I can appreciate that very much. LSU, Georgia, good luck to you guys next weekend in the SEC championship. Bobby, don't cry too hard.
Hey, no.
Alabama, no.
Just mute
No, what I want to say is not that. What I want to say is Alabama. It's going to be very uncomfortable and it's not going to be a normal thing for you guys to be home during this time of the year. So you guys just try to hold on because you guys are used to being in Atlanta every year playing for the SEC championship.
I'll go every year.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, we play in the SEC West where other teams win national championships.
Yeah,
but LSU has won 3. Auburn has represented us and won 1 as well, right? We don't play in a cupcake division, right? There are no babies on our side of the.
We actually beat Auburn for that one.
Yeah, you get muted for that. The SEC East is coming.
No. The SEC West is the best division. Period.
There you go.
Period.
So thank you guys. What's that?
The SEC least.
Okay, well.
Don't forget, Wes. Don't forget who won that SEC West when you guys weren't there, and it was Auburn. Guess who won that one? That's right.
And guess who beat the two best? Guess who beat the 2 best SEC West teams this season in the same season? That'd be the Volunteers, who is in the SEC East. So suck it, West.
Yeah, but y'all in the championship. Y'all ain't in the championship.
Bobby, y'all should. So that's how I say before I log off. Bobby, you guys should just stay at home because Georgia's going to ruin you guys. But anyway, hey,
they're going to wreck them.
They're going to wreck them. Thank you guys. Hey, thank you guys for tuning in to Second to None. Follow us on social media, YouTube, and we'll see you guys next week after the SEC championship. Go Kentucky.
Roll
Auburn is 21-21 historically against Vanderbilt. So yes, you do have a Vanderbilt in the West.
The what?
Auburn is 21-21 historically against Vanderbilt. You